All right, let's do this. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining. It's time for another exciting lightning talk. I'm Parag Katkar, your host for tonight. I'm the head of consulting practices at InRhythm. InRhythm is a modern product and technology consulting firm, and our practice leads stay on top of latest technology trends in the industry. And every Thursday at 5:15 p.m. Eastern Time, one of our consultants shares their knowledge of these exciting trends with you. And this week, Bam, who is a senior iOS engineer with us, is going to give us an overview of iOS in app purchases and subscriptions. So, without further ado, let's get it started, Bam.
Okay. Uh, yep. So I'm going to talk today about in-app purchases and subscriptions. So Apple released a new framework called StoreKit 2. And StoreKit 2 introduces a modern Swift-based APIs that make it easier than ever to deliver high-quality in-app purchase experiences. I thought this is a good idea to highlight this because there are a lot of cool new things that make it a lot easier to implement in-app purchases inside your app. So as a developer, you can start making money and charging for different type of in-app purchases. So this is just an overview. I'm going to start with the basics about how in-app purchases work, and then I'll talk about what's new with StoreKit 2, and I will go into some code examples of how to use it and talk about testing for a little bit, and then I'll do a live demonstration from a project that I found that demonstrates how to use StoreKit 2, and then open up to questions. So for the basics, in-app purchases allows developers to offer apps for free and upsell paid upgrades, locked features, special items, and other premium offers. So when you publish your app, you get to decide if it's going to be a paid app or it's going to be free with in-app purchases. And there are some studies that say that in-app purchases are more effective because this less of a barrier for the customer to stop purchasing items. So this is a pretty good option for your app. Different types of in-app purchases are consumable, which are items that are consumed. So for example, if you have a game and you want to give them credits or things like that, that's a consumable. So, and also non-consumables are completely the opposite of that. And subscriptions, which we all know what subscriptions are. It's a good way to keep recurring revenue for your app. So some more things that StoreKit gives us as developers, gives us the ability to handle these transactions. So in our code, we can see when certain store items are pending, which is asked to buy. From the documentation, it seems like asked to buy is when family sharing is enabled and there needs to be some parental approval for a certain purchase. So that's the pending state. We can handle transactions that are canceled or failed. And also what's new is that refunds could be handled now in apps, which is pretty cool. And also you can see your transaction history. As a developer, you can access the transaction history. So what's new in StoreKit 2? So for StoreKit 2, there's a change to receipt validation. In StoreKit 1, we used to have to set up a server to communicate with the App Store server. I remember this, and I remember how difficult receipt validation used to be. We would have to validate against some third-party cryptography library just to verify the receipt is valid. So now with StoreKit 2, we don't have to do any of that. It uses JSON web signature format, which is the industry standard. It uses that for transaction information signed by the App Store. So in this way, transactions are automatically validated. So long story short, they do a lot of the work for us, so we don't have to use any third-party libraries and things like that. What also is new is async await support, which is great for Swift UI. we can handle things in a concurrent way. And also, there's some new in-app merchandising views, which is what I'm excited for. It makes it very easy to quickly develop an app and make it able so the customer can make these purchases. And some of those views are product view, store view, subscription, store view. And there's also methods for promotions, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And there is billing and refunds, which I'll also describe in a future slide. So you could actually make, as a developer, you can address their billing issues in the app. You could present a view for them, and you could issue a refund within the app also, which is actually new. So this is the first time we're able to issue a refund immediately. The compatibility for StoreKit 2 is iOS 17. I actually had an issue with this because I had to download the Xcode 15 beta version because it is not yet available. I believe it is available actually, but it's in beta right now. So yeah, so those are the major things that are what's new for StoreKit 2. So I'll cover some of the usage, and I'll start with product view. This is how the code looks, and as you can see, it's very simple. You just got to declare a product view with some IDs, well, with an ID, and the closure will just describe what this closure will dictate what the view will look like. So this is just an example from the product that I'm going to show you a little bit later on. I'm excited for this because this is very different from what we had to do previously. You know, I'm not a big fan of spending a lot of time creating table views and having rows and styling the row. With Swift UI, it makes it very easy, and with product view, it makes it even easier. Store view is the next one, and it's similar to product view. The closure will describe how it should look like. So the icon is in the closure, and you just pass the store views some product IDs, which is very convenient. And this is an example of how it looks on the right. Let's move on. Subscription store view is one of my favorites here because you could literally just have just these 4 lines of code. The closure also describes how the background should look, well, how the display should look. But this makes it very easy to create a view exactly like this without having to style, you know, a view from scratch. So talk a little bit about promotions. This is pretty cool. So they offer, Apple has offered developers a way to specify which product should be promoted in the App Store, and they appear right below the right in the description of the actual app, and you could actually decide which ones you want to display programmatically, or you could do it via App Store Connect. So I thought this was pretty cool. Billing and refunds. So there's a new billing issue reason. And because of that, now we can switch on that and do a lot of different things when there's a billing issue, and we can resolve it without leaving the app. And this is also available to test in sandbox mode, which is pretty cool. So you don't have to, you know, upload a test flight and actually do things like that to test when a customer has billing issues. And with refunds, it works the same way. For testing in-app purchases in the simulator without having to set anything up in App Store Connect. So I've been trying this out this week, and it's actually very convenient. Just like I said before, you won't have to upload to test flight to test some of these in-app purchases. You could define products locally in a StoreKit configuration file. With this file, you can specify the ID and how much the item should cost. And when you run your app, you specify this file in your scheme. so that the app in the simulator will use this configuration file. Also, you could view and delete transactions and issue refunds for testing. So this is convenient for before you are live. You could do a lot of things to test out how your UI flow is working and handling the errors in case something goes wrong. And lastly, StoreKit test framework is they implemented some new automated testing for in-app purchases. So I think that's pretty cool too. So moving on, so I will show you a live demonstration. I downloaded this project so Apple had WWDC and they released this project, and it's just an example of how we would use some of the new APIs for StoreKit. In this project, I'm just gonna go over this pretty quickly. I just wanted to pay attention to a few of these views here. So for this bird shop view, this is an example of how to use store view, and you just pass it product IDs, and it will look, this is for the watch actually. So this is multi-platform, but this is basically this is an example of how you would use store view. And I'm gonna do an example here on how you might purchase a store view and how it looks, how you purchase an item in from the store view, because this is the store right here. So you click on shop. And when you click on the button, you don't have to implement the handlers to display this sheet. The sheet automatically shows, which is pretty convenient. To make a purchase, and then you're all set. Also, product view is the same way, like how I described earlier. You just pass it a product ID, and then you specify what it should look like. That's just the icon for this product. And if you don't specify an actual view, it will just give you this button right here. So you should probably specify a view here. Moving on here. For this backyard bird pass shop, and this is the view that you see over here. The subscription view is pretty easy to implement. You just have to pass it a group ID, and this block here is just describing how it should look. So this is just an example here. So you could implement a view like this with just a few lines of code, and it will show all of the products that you specify. And I'm just gonna show you how the configuration file looks like. And let me see if I could find it. Yeah, this right here. This is the configuration. So it's very easy to manage. These are the in-app purchases here. So you specify the price and the product ID. You can add or remove them using this plus or minus. Let me click on this just to show you guys. You can specify consumable, non-consumable, non-renewal subscription, or auto-renewable subscription. And this configuration file is specified in the run target, so we can actually do our testing without having to publish the app. And I will show you one last thing. So in the run options, you'll see right here that StoreKit configuration is set right here. So usually it's not set. So after you add your configuration file, and you do it this way, you just click on new file, search for StoreKit configuration file. You give it a name. Let's call it example. There's an option here you could sync with the App Store Connect. So if you add products via App Store Connect, you could check this box and then it will import all of those products into your app. One thing to note here is that if you use this option, it'll be read-only. So that's just an option that you could actually do. So I'm going to cancel this because we already have a file here. So that's pretty much the majority of what I wanted to show that's new with StoreKit 2. Product view and the store view are the new items here, and they make it very easy to add the functionality for in-app purchases. And this configuration file is actually very useful because you could do some testing locally without having to publish the app. So that is it for my demonstration. Here are some useful links here. This is a link to the video from WWDC, the Apple Docs for StoreKit 2. iOS Academy is a website, and they actually I got a lot of good information from them, so I recommend that. These two are some YouTube videos that could help you get started with StoreKit 2, and this is the Backyard Birds project that I use as an example. So that's it for my presentation. Any questions?
Hey, Bam, quick question for me.
Sure.
So on that screenshot with subscriptions, there was a button redeem code. So this code, redeem code functionality, is it also part of StoreKit functionality, or you need to implement it?
Yeah, so you have to implement this yourself. So let me go to the code here. It's only specifying the group IDs here, and not exactly sure what the relationships is actually, but this past marketing content is just the UI for it and how it should look. And that's further down here.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly wanted to do an example of, just using a few lines of code, and it'll just be this this empty, well, not empty, but it'll be just a screen with the products. But I didn't have time to put together my own project here. But pretty much it's just you have to customize the view that you want it to display.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, guys? Anyone else?
I have one more question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah,
so, yeah, in StoreKit 2, you presented these new features. How would you do subscription in StoreKit 1? Like, how StoreKit 2 different from StoreKit 1?
That's another good question. I think overall, it handles a lot of the work for you. It's the similarities are is a subscription is still a product, so you still have to retrieve the products. But previously you have to use callbacks to handle the products, and also handle the when the user would either accept or decline, like when click OK or cancel. With StoreKit 2, all of those things are handled. So that's the major thing for for subscriptions. One of the biggest things that I feel is receipt validation. So I know years ago there had to be a server that holds the receipts, and at least from what I remember, we had to build an API to check the receipts, and the backend needed to have some third-party cryptography libraries to check the receipts. I think doing away with that is definitely a plus. So in my opinion, that's the best part of StoreKit 2. But as for subscriptions, it just the code is cleaner, it's less lines of code. You don't have to rely as heavily with the delegate methods for the callbacks. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
First of all, thanks a lot, Bam, for such an informative talk. Really nicely done. And as a reminder to you all, we do these lightning talks every Thursday at 5:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And next week, Sam Musa, who is an experienced Java engineer at InRhythm, is going to speak on application architecture. It's a really deep topic. So I'm looking forward to what he has in store for us. Make sure you mark your calendar for next week. Thank you all once again for joining. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you all next week.